Happy New Year, guys. It's 2020. It literally feels like it's the future. I don't know, something about 2020, it just sounds so futuristic. But anyway, welcome to the future. We are living it. And I want to talk a little bit about creating New Year's resolutions because I did this class I teach at a health insurance company on Mondays, and I did this class on creating New Year's resolutions, and a lot of people found it very helpful and very inspiring. And before you make some kind of horrible, silly, not going to work New Year's resolution, let's take the time to create one that's actually going to put your best self and your best efforts into the world. So the reason I'm recording this before rather than doing it live with you is because I want to use this whiteboard here, which I don't think I can do on Facebook. So creating New Year's resolutions. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was picking a goal. Okay, so we need to pick a goal, we need to pick a resolution. Obviously, that's part of the resolution process. But I think what's really important to realize is the goal that we pick needs to be something that is very positive and motivating, something that's actually going to lift us up and get us excited rather than something that makes us really upset or depressed. So for instance, if you're someone who wants to fix their cholesterol because their doctor told them to, you're not going to feel super passionate and super inspired to actually do that. You're just doing it because your doctor told you to, or your wife is driving you crazy and is trying to get you to, improve your cholesterol. So instead, what we can do is we can kind of think of a different way to fix that problem, whether it's, improving your cholesterol or becoming more active. We can think of a different way to improve that problem and work upon that problem that isn't necessarily going to bring you down, but lift you up and inspire you to do more and become the healthiest version of you. So what we would kind of want to consider is thinking of what you did last year, okay, failures and successes. And you guys already know that I hate New Year, New You. I hate it because old you, okay, is the key to understanding what will work this year. Now, for instance, what I mean is if in the past your doctor tried to get you to improve your cholesterol by changing your diet and you went on this extreme vegan protocol and that worked for a week or a month or whatever, and then you fell off of it, then that is not going to work for you this year. Okay, old you did the hard work, and it's going to tell you, hey, that is not going to be the solution this year. Okay, it made me miserable. I didn't like the vegan diet. It was too hard. I'm not saying that's what happened to me. I'm just giving an example. Or maybe you're like, I needed to be more active, and so I decided to sign up for a half marathon. And then you were doing the half marathon training. It was overwhelming. It was way too much work. It was way too hard. Those goals are not going to work for you. You had to learn from last year's success, last year's failures to figure out what is going to make you successful in the new year. Now, likewise, you can say to yourself, you know what, I didn't like half marathon training, but in the beginning of training, before we got into high mileage, I actually really loved those easy runs, those 1, 2, 3 mile runs with my running club. I found it really to be fun and invigorating and inspiring. Or maybe, you know what, I didn't really like the vegan diet, but I really did enjoy having a big salad for lunch. I found that to be very filling and nourishing and and very delicious, and I enjoyed it. So we can take kind of old information that we learned from last year, the successes and the failures, and we can use that to pick a goal that is really going to be making you successful in the new year. Now, number 3 is the goal needs to be easy to obtain. Okay, what I mean by this is it cannot be too extreme, and the end goal cannot be too difficult to accomplish. Instead, you need to break your goal target into pieces. So what I mean by that is if your goal is to run an ultra, okay, instead of saying, I'm going to run an ultra this spring, why don't you say, I'm going to try running a 15K, and then I'm going to run a half marathon, and then I'm going to run, you know, a marathon, and then maybe you work your way up to an ultra. And that way you're not just kind of jumping into this really extreme distance. And again, different people have different personalities. Maybe you're someone who's like, I don't need to go through all that building process. Maybe you're someone who's been running for years and running isn't such a like new experience for you. But if you're a relatively new runner, then kind of going through the stepwise process of signing up for different length races and having that experience and understanding how training affects your body and how training affects nutrition is really important. Okay, because I think a lot of times we forget that as we live these experiences, there are takeaways, okay? So for instance, like a takeaway for an endurance athlete or a takeaway for someone who is trying to change their diet is that it's harder than it sounds, okay? It's harder to change your diet, change your fitness level than it sounds like it is. It's easy to say, I'm gonna sign up for a race, I'm gonna go on Hal Higdon and pick a program, but then when you're actually implementing it, things come up, right? Like there's lack of time, there's lack of energy, there's runger, okay, which is like a joking way of saying you're always hungry because you're running so much, okay? There's personal preference. There's overwhelm, okay? I think that's super common, is that we get overwhelmed if especially if we're trying to do this on our own, okay? So there's all these things kind of acting as obstacles, okay? And the thing is that it's normal. That's normal to feel like those things are obstacles. That doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't make you a person lacking willpower. It doesn't make you irresponsible. It makes you completely normal and human. But what we need to realize that even though it's normal, we need to identify and respect the fact that lack of time is going to challenge us. Lack of energy is going to challenge us. Runger is going to challenge us. You know, poor recovery is going to challenge us. Personal preference is going to challenge us. These things are going to challenge us. And the way we kind of can think about these things and beat them to the chase, make sure that they don't bother us this year as we're trying to achieve our goal, is by considering what worked for us last year. When I'm working one-on-one with clients, I'm asking them, hey, what have you tried before? What have you done before? What has worked for you before? And we use that to build a roadmap to success, okay? So when you guys are making your New Year's resolutions, I want you guys to consider now how to make this action, this goal, into an action. Okay, so I want action goals. Okay, so what I mean by this is, rather than the goal just being like, I am going to, what did we say before? I am going to run a half marathon, okay? Or I am going to improve my cholesterol. If you said that to me, I would ask you, okay, well, how? How are you going to do that? Now, instead, I want your goal to be something where you say it and I understand mostly how you are going to do it. So, I am going to improve my cholesterol. Okay, that's your goal. That's not good enough, because if you said that to me, I would have 1,000 questions for you. Oh, are you going on medication? Oh, are you changing your diet? Oh, what is your cholesterol right now? Do you need to increase your HDL? Do you need to decrease your LDL? What's your VL? Like, I would have a million questions for you, right? So instead, if you were to tell me this goal, I want it to be that I really kind of understand what's going on here. So I am going to increase my HDL cholesterol, okay, which is the same as saying I'm going to improve my cholesterol, but it's very specific. I'm going to increase my HDL cholesterol by adding a salad with avocado and olive oil to my lunch and stop cooking with veg oil. Okay, there we go. That is a way to, you gave me a game plan. That is an action. That is an excellent New Year's resolution, okay? Sure, I could have other questions for you, but for the most part, you're like coming in with a plan. No one is gonna change my mind. This is what I'm doing. Heck yeah, I am queen of the world, okay? So I really like choosing action goals where when you're making a New Year's resolution, you can hear the action rather than it just being some like wish goal, okay? Like I could say, in 2020, I am going to the Olympics, right? Like that's a wish. Like, how am I going to the Olympics, right? Like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to the Olympics, but like you need to make sure that your goal, if you're just throwing it out into the universe, it doesn't even matter how simple it is. Like, I'm going to CVS today. Like, okay, that's clearly pretty easy to do, but that's just basically like a wish. Like you just need to really give guidance as to how your body is supposed to do this transformation, because change is hard, guys. Like, I think we underestimate how hard it is to change. Change is hard. We are, as a species, the human species, we dislike change. We love comfort. So when you are creating a goal that is going to challenge your body and change your body and create discomfort, you really need to make sure that you have an action, okay, so that you can choose a path of least resistance. And then my last tip here is accountability, okay? Asking for accountability. So tell your friends, okay? Tell your significant other, okay? Tell your coworkers, okay? Make sure that you are being held accountable by your people, your friends, your family. Get on Facebook, get in this Facebook community, tell us your New Year's resolutions, tell us what your goals are, and we can help support each other. Your family can help support you. Have a friend that goes to that fitness class with you, a friend that eats salad with you at lunch, whatever it is. Having more people know what you're supposed to be doing and what you want to do is going to help lift you up. And obviously, you know, having a coach, whether it's your running coach because they're going to help you run that ultra marathon, your first ultra marathon, or a nutrition coach because you're trying to change your diet, you're trying to go plant-based, you're trying to improve your cholesterol, you're trying to lose fat, you're trying to fuel efficiently for your next race so that you don't bonk or you can recover better or you don't have this constant issue with hunger. Okay, having a coach is also a major part of being successful because coaches are able to guide you to make changes in a way that is going to guarantee success. So what I mean by this is when we just kind of embark on a journey on our own, it's super admirable, but in a lot of times we can be our own worst enemy and we can put too much on ourselves too soon. So did you know that if you make one change at a time, okay, you have an 85% success rate? Okay, so if right now I was like, I meant to use my New Year's resolution to do this, but I completely forgot what it was until I was just doing this. My New Year's resolution is that I am going to meditate for 5 minutes every single day when I wake up in the morning using the app Simple Habit. Okay, so this is extremely clear, actionable. Okay, so I'm making this one change at a time. It's a super easy goal to obtain. It's only 5 minutes. It's nothing like crazy that's going to like make me obtain enlightenment, although I would love to do that, but I'm starting really small. And I'm just changing one thing at a time. There's a lot of goals I would like to do. I would like to start foam rolling every day as well. I would like to be better about consistently strength training rather than going through like periods where I strength train a lot and strength train and don't strength train at all. Blah, 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 blah. But I'm making one change at a time because that means my success rate to achieve that goal is 85%. As soon as you add a second thing to change, okay, if you make 2 changes at a time, your success rate goes down to 35%. That's how overwhelmed we get. That's how easily we get overwhelmed. So take a screenshot of this. I hope this is helpful. And I just wanted to remind you that it is a new year. It is not a new you. Old you is fabulous, bursting with information, bursting with knowledge to help you be more successful and awesome in the new year. So have respect for old you and the journey you have been on. There was never anything wrong with you. There never will be anything wrong with you. You're simply learning. You have the rest of your life to get this thing right, whatever it is that you're pursuing. I know that's frustrating. We all want success overnight, but truly, when we realize that we have the rest of our life to get things right, everything feels a little less daunting, everything feels a little less scary, and it's a little bit easier to have forgiveness when we mess up, which we will because we're humans, okay? So have a wonderful, happy new year. From the bottom of my heart, I am wishing you wellness and loveliness and happiness and brightness in the new year. And we will be chatting on Facebook, I'm sure, very soon.